Okay, so let's talk about running your first Android app and how to do that. So just start up Android Studio and you'll have this screen. Click on New Project. And for our first example, pick Empty Activity. That's the one that's like the least bloated, just a very simple activity to get started. So click on that, and then click Next, and then name it something. My application will be the default name. I'm going to call it Hello World because that's the tradition, right? The first time you create some kind of new programming example in a new environment, new framework, new language, whatever. And leave everything else the same, the defaults, unless you do want to put it in a particular save location. It's not a bad idea. This is the default. Work is the name of this account. Make sure it's using Kotlin for now. That's the language we're going to use in the class. You could also use Java. That's the I want to say old-fashioned way of doing it. It's not necessarily just Kotlin's a new thing. Anyway, click Finish. And it may take a while. This is one of the things. It depends on your computer. I need to get a new one, honestly. But you'll see this Gradle build down here. This is what you want to watch. And it takes a while for this to complete. Once it's complete, you can try out running it. But it'll show you just by default the main activity. So if you're doing a Kotlin as your base language, it's going to be mainActivity.kt. If it's Java, it'll be mainActivity.java. So this is just sort of a template for the first, like when you launch an app in Android, just what the window looks like. So this is the code behind, if you're used to Visual Studio at all, Visual C#. This would be like the code behind for the UI, the GUI. And the GUI would be this activity main. Now you can have this, and there's some things that are red right now because it's still, the build is still running, where it hooks everything together, gets all the libraries and things it needs configured correctly before it can run. So anyway, this is the user interface. So this is what you're seeing here is a code view of it. There's split and design just like you have in Visual Studio here. Again, I think a lot of you, maybe not all of you, maybe some of you, maybe most of you. I'm not sure what the numbers are. You might have had Visual Studio, the C# class, the Windows Forms class. The principle's pretty much the same, but the execution's a little bit different. You can actually see now there's actually code for the GUI if you know the right place to look. What is it? RESX, the files or whatever. It's C# code that tells how to build the components, the visual components. The language that you use for building the components. You can do this also, by the way, you can do this in C#, but what is it called? XAML. But it's XML. It's how you build these GUI windows and describe the components in them. Now you can do it in a WYSIWYG design kind of way as well. So this is showing you once it finishes rendering everything. I should probably just pause until it does. I really do need a better computer. So the Gradle build is finished. And if you look at activity_main, this is showing what the main window that shows up when it launches looks like. So this is the display. You can build things in a GUI sort of way here, and this is going to be this is a bigger learning curve than doing forms in Windows, because you have more, it's more fine-tunable. You can do things at a very granular, discrete level, detailed level. But there's more to learn about how to do it. But if you just want to do like a good example beginning program, change, you see how it says Hello World here? Let's just change that to Hello Pillissippi. And in the future, there'll be a way that you handle these string resources that's a little bit cleaner and more modular. But for now, we're just going to do it the easy way by just doing the raw change here. So Hello Pillissippi, or whatever you want to put there. And then the next thing to do, if you haven't done it yet, is to set up your AVD, your Android virtual device. So you'll have this thing under your tools called AVD Manager. If you don't have that, make sure you can install it separately if it's not already installed. When we first set up, remember those 2 check boxes, that should have installed it. But I think if you somehow missed that, you could still download it. So there's a couple of things about Android that takes getting used to. There's the AVD Manager, which is all the little virtual devices that you can sort of demo your programs on to see, give them a test run, see how they look. And you have all different kinds of devices. You have tablets, of course, smartphones, and watches, that sort of thing. And there's a manager for that. And it won't have every possibility already on your computer. As you choose different things, it'll download them on the fly for you. So it makes it a little bit more efficient that way. SDK Manager is the same thing, Software Development Kit Manager. It's for the different, Lollipop or Honeycomb, or those are names of Android versions, like major versions, right? Like, you got Windows 95, Windows 8, Windows XP, whatever, Windows 10. Was there a Windows 8? Windows Me. The Android version of that are these, you do have these major numbers here, right? Like 4, 5, 6, and they also have like cute names. It looks like, did they change to just doing letters? That's kind of boring, but it used to be desserts, right? For a long time were the unofficial sort of nicknames for them. Jelly Bean, Kit Kat, Lollipop, Marshmallow, all that. So these can be also independent. I'll probably need to like add a couple here. As a matter of fact, I don't even know what this is. R, so wait, there's R. S, do I have S on my own computer? But anyway, whatever you want to target in your development, if you want to do like a very simple early version, or if you want to do the newest stuff. Now, what you can do on each version is going to depend on what those versions, there's a better word I want to use for this, but what those versions allow you to do, right? Anyway, so I'm going to cancel that for now because I know it'll run without that one. So you want to have those things that, like, you want the target version of the Android that you want to develop for, and you also, or all the different versions too. You might do it for several versions at once, right? You want to see if it works on all of them. And you also want to set up a virtual device. So now you can do this. You can also install these programs from Android Studio directly to a phone if you have one. You have to do some configuration on your phone to make it possible, and you have to do some stuff in Android Studio to bridge the connection there. But once you do it, it's kind of cool. But that's up to you whether you want to do it or not. I'm going to require that for the class. I'll make a video later to show you how to do it, or you can look up on your own if you want. But yeah, later on I'll talk about how to do it and maybe show, because I'll have to use a camera to record myself, because you won't be able to see the phone. But for now, I'm just going to, for the whole class, I'm going to assume that the only thing you have are these. And I might pick a particular one I want you to target in the future. But for now, I have a Pixel 3 XL, so that's what I picked. But the way you set this up is you go down to AVD Manager, and then you create a virtual device, and it'll give you some options, some common options. You can also like configure your own, and you notice you can do it for watches and tablets, and I guess automotive. I don't know what that is even. I guess some automobiles have a built-in Android operating system, right? But so for the phones, let's say I wanted to do the newest Pixel, which should be in here. What is this? Pixel XL. I don't see Pixel 6, but I know they have it. Well, we'll just do Pixel 5 for now. So select that. Let me see if I just reset here or refresh. So select the version you want, and then click Next. And you can see I already have one here, but it asks you, which image do you want to put on the phone, because the hardware and the software are separate things for the virtual device, right? It'll emulate the hardware, and of course you can have different Android versions on that hardware. So I'm going to do something lower. Let's do Oreo. And this is going to take a while because it has to download and install it and set it up and everything. It's going to pause. So I decided not to wait for that. I showed you how to get it started. Once it's downloaded and set up, you can pick which one you want to target. You know, if you have different options here, depending on how many you've set up. Make sure you pick the one you want to try out your program on. So I'm going to pick the 3XL that I already have, app level 30, API level 30, and then I'm going to launch. And if the AVD is not already running, it can run separately from your Android Studio. It's not like you have to be running an Android program in order to have the virtual device up. The virtual device can just all be set up all the time, and you can like do different things to it with your Android Studio as it's running. So it's usually a good idea to get it started running maybe even before you launch, like before you launch your code like I'm doing now. You might get this message, just ignore it for now. You may or may not. It might be doing. This might be coming up based on the previous version that I had. So the ADB, the thing where you hook it up to the phone directly. So you can ignore this if it does come up because it has nothing to do with what we're doing here. And this is what your AVD will look like when it's running. So it's just a phone. It's just a pretend phone, right? So if you had a SIM, somehow you can make phone calls, I guess. Or it'll emulate taking pictures with your webcam, I think, which means it's going to show my face here in a second if I don't stop it. Oh, wait, that's the phone. It's running really slowly because, like I said, my computer is very slow, and there's a Gradle build running at the same time. So I'm going to pause and wait for this to clear up. All right, so the Gradle build's finished, and I think everything's ready to go. So what it's going to do is it's going to launch this class first, this main activity class. An activity is kind of like it's the main part of the program that's running, and it'll usually build a window. So you'll see it has this stuff on create, saved instance state bundled, and this is how you can save persist things in between invocations of the program. You can have it if it gets paused or something, it can save some settings so it knows where you're at and resume. So that's what that whole saved instance state part is. And then it's going to set a content view. In this case, it's going to set a content view of that layout that you have right here. And you can see there's some things in the IDE, Android Studio IDE, that help you relate these things together. Can you see go to related files? This is saying this is the file that's going to be exploded when you run deployed, whatever you want to call it, when you run main activity. And so it's going to take this layout activity main and just show all the things on it. And what you'll see is it has something called a text view. And this text view has different properties, like how big it is, where it's located in relation to other things. And it also has a text control in it that has a certain value set to. So that it's just like a text box. Very, very similar to a text box in Visual Studio. Visual Studio. I should probably stop doing that until I'm sure more people have had that. But if you've had any kind of GUI class, you'll have something similar to this. Java has some things like this too. And what do you call it? Swing or whatever. So an AWT, I think. Anyway, so when you run this, it'll pull up and display. Now, this is already running. So you notice it has the VCR buttons up here. So I noticed it was running. I dismissed it on the phone, but it was still running in the background here. So I'm going to run it as if it was not, just running. And you can see it invoke on this phone. Fake phone, right? Emulated phone. You'll see something like launch succeeded. It's still building because my computer's slow, but there's the Hello Pillsippi from earlier. So that was a long roundabout way to show you how to do just a simple example, empty activity. This is like your most bare bones kind of thing you can start with, pretty much, that does anything. This is the name of the program, by the way. This is built in as if you look into saved right here in the manifest, this is like information about the whole program, the application. And you can see how it has, it says Hello World here. You'll notice if you click on it, it's actually the string resource, and you'll learn how to do this later, app name. So you can change that if you want to, but we won't fiddle with it for now because that's getting open up a can of worms. But that's just to show you how to run a basic program in Android. So again, what you want to make sure you have is like whatever SDK version you want. Just pick one for now. It's a software development kit, and also set up an AVD. Unless you like figure it out on your own how to do it to your actual phone, set up an AVD for it to display the program on. Which, and again, AVD is an Android virtual device, so it's a computer emulated version of one of the phones you can buy in the store, right? So the one I'm doing here is the Google Pixel 3 XL.